much of Biden's presidency hearing, Trump supporters, more MAGA influencers kind of documenting every day, oh, Biden stumbled on getting on the plane, or he walked a certain way, or he looked a certain way today. And now we're sort of seeing that flip on its head with Democrats taking that approach.
And why did we have to document it? Because nobody else would.
Hold on a second. You had an opportunity to ask the president today about this, and you did not. Why?
Well, because when he got on the phone and sounded very much alive, I thought it would sound kind of stupid, frankly, to ask an alive person if they were dead. But I'll tell you who is a complete piece of shit. I'm going to tell you right now.
There have been a lot of swear words at this table today.
Walz.
Okay.
You get up in the morning and you doom scroll through things, and although I will say this, the last few days you woke up thinking there might be news. Just saying. There will be news sometime, just so you know, there will be news.
The governor of Minnesota holding up a phone in front of a rally saying, well, we thought we were going to wake up and find out the president had died. Someday it'll happen. Someday it'll happen. I used to say he was the biggest buffoon in American politics, but it's worse now. No political official, no elected official should be walking around saying, well, I'm
Something completely different, but about a big viral social media trend over the weekend. How did you find out over the weekend that you were dead? You see that?
No.
People didn't see you for a couple days. 1.3 million user engagements as of Saturday morning about your demise.
Really? I didn't see that. I have heard, it's sort of crazy, but last week I did numerous news conferences, all successful. They went very well, like this is going very well. And then I didn't do any for 2 days, and they said, there must be something wrong with him. Biden wouldn't do them for months. You wouldn't see him. And nobody ever said there was ever anything wrong with him, and we know he wasn't in the greatest of shape. No, I heard that. I get reports. Now, you knew I did an interview that lasted for about an hour and a half with somebody, and everybody saw that was on one of your competitors.
All right, folks, it's probably worth mentioning here that this is for entertainment purposes only. So buckle up and let's have some fun tearing into the mess that is Tim Walz and the Trump-hating media. And I'm going to start by diving in headfirst into the narrative that we all want. Feeding the fire. I don't want that shit. And I'm going to dive in headfirst, starting with a question that's going to light up the comments, or at least I hope. So make sure you guys engage. How many of you think Tim Walz is a total train wreck? Or as Scott Jennings says, a giant piece of shit? And the sorriest excuse for a governor in any state right now. Any state in America. This guy's got the nerve to sling mud at our President Trump, and worse. Meanwhile, a titan who's 10 times the man Tim Walz could ever dream of being. Tim Walz is out there flapping his gums on stage, wishing he had half the swagger and stage presence that President Trump brings on a daily basis, just naturally. And yeah, please let me know. Watching Tim Walz, watching him try to fire up a crowd is like watching a freaking it's like, I guess it's worse than trying to watch Kamala Harris deliver any sound intellect as she tries to do her best to explain what the internet is, or AI. The man's a walking punchline. He is the butt of the jokes. Type Walz is a joke in the comments if you guys agree, and let's see who's got the guts to call it like it is. Meanwhile, welcome back, folks. Welcome back, patriots, my fellow freedom lovers, and a big hello if you're new here for the first time. Welcome to the fight. I'm Kevin, and I'm here to drop a bombshell that's going to have you blown away after you hear and see what President Trump just unleashed. It's a game changer that's got the Trump-hating media choking on their own lies. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with everybody you know. And let's make this go viral and shove it down the throats and in the faces of the liberal elites, the media, who are continuously trying to tell these lies and these tall tales. Now, before we get to Trump's epic move, which you guys cannot miss, so stick with me here, let's talk about something critical for all you seniors out there. And Medicare open enrollment is sneaking up fast, and you gotta act now. Lock in the best coverage. Don't let the Democrats' bloated bureaucracy screw you over. Get the best coverage for you and your needs. My friend, a longtime subscriber, Betty, she told me, practically dancing because she hooked up with our friends over at Chapter. And in just a few minutes on the phone, she got better coverage, saved a pile of cash. And the best part, the Chapter folks were from her hometown, speaking plain, no nonsense English as their first language. How awesome is that? But listen up, folks. Don't sleep on this, okay? Another longtime channel supporter, subscriber, watcher, viewer, Joe, a 70-year-old vet from Texas, ignored open enrollment last year thinking he was fine. And next thing he knows, his plan's dropping his heart meds and he's shelling out hundreds a month extra that he doesn't have to spend. And the guy's on a fixed income and now he's rationing pills because of some pencil pusher's bad call, okay? Don't let that be you. Pick up the phone. Call Chapter 270-467-2426 right now. Talk to Chapter. They're non-biased. They purely, simply just want to help you and get the coverage that you deserve. Save some money, save some dollars, potentially thousands on average, $1,100 saved, and stick it to the system before they try to stick it to you. Big change is coming in 2026. Do it today. Don't wait. Open enrollment is October 15th through December 7th. So you're not going to want to miss out. Now, let's get to the main event here. President Trump's latest move that's got the fake news media crying into their soy lattes. You know, these clowns ignored crooked Joe Biden's bumbles at walking bowl of oatmeal while letting crime run wild in Democrat dumpster fires like Los Angeles and Chicago, with KJP just telling stories at the podium and the lectern on a regular basis. Now, Peter Doocy would always call her ass out, and we see him do the same today, but President Trump had a much better response. Now, those cities are practically war zones. Like, if you agree, perhaps maybe some of you even live there, unfortunately, with looters and thugs, criminals, undocumented, illegals running the show, and the media is too busy kissing up to the failures like Tim Walz to notice, and their leadership, mayors and governors, are all about keeping that show going, keeping that push going for their own personal benefit, I guess. But Trump, he's dropping the hammer, and it's glorious. And he doesn't give a fuck what Brandon Johnson has to say or J.B. Pritzker has to say. Word on the street is Trump just signed a slew of executive orders that are making liberal heads explode. He's calling out the soft on crime nonsense and putting law and order back on the map. Chicago's got over 600 murders a year, and Los Angeles is drowning in anti-ICE riots. Meanwhile, Tim Walz is whining about fascism and dictators while his own state is an absolute disaster, a mess. President Trump's out here promising to clean up the streets just like he did in D.C., just like he did in Los Angeles, and secure the border and make America safe again. And that's what we voted for. Isn't that right, folks? It's the kind of leadership that gives you chills, but puts a giant smile on your face at the same time, knowing we've got a real fighter in the White House on our side who's actually delivering on campaign promises. This isn't lip service like the Democrats like to do. Now, speaking of Democrats, let's talk about Tim Walz, Mr. I'm going to try to bully President Trump himself and failing at that. No, I don't even think Trump even knows what he's talking about. I don't think he's even aware of what Tim Walz is talking about. This guy's got the backbone of a freaking jellyfish, throwing temper tantrums about our president, Donald Trump, while Minnesota crumbles under his watch, and he continues to put out hits on his political opponents and rivals, even if they're in the same party. You know what I mean? He's out there pushing DEI nonsense and free tampons in boys' bathrooms. Yeah, you remember that, right? While his budget's bleeding red from Medicaid overspending, and just a couple months ago, a poll showed even Minnesotans outside the Twin Cities are fucking fed up with his approval going into the gutter, even lower than it already was before. And get this, his own brother, family, flesh and blood, Jeff Walz, basically said Tim's not fit to lead a fucking lemonade stand, let alone a state, okay? Oh, man, ouch. That hurts. You remember when his whole family put on Trump t-shirts, right? And then there's Walz leading a revolt at the National Governors Association, trying to turn it into his anti-Trump fan club. What a freaking loser. A loser move. Compare that to President Trump kicking ass, taking names, and who's out here ending wars, making NATO pay up their fair share, and getting world leaders to snap to attention. The internet is on fire. It's buzzing about how he's already shut down 6 conflicts in 6 months. 6, folks. Tim Walz couldn't shut down a lemonade stand without crying to the media about it. And of course, it would be Donald Trump's fault. Meanwhile, Trump's fighting for us, protecting Medicare and Social Security, while Tim Walz and his Democrat pals dream up new ways to tax you into oblivion and then launder that money out into phantom jobs. The man, President Trump, is a legend, and Tim Walz is just a sad wannabe piece of shit who can't handle the heat and is a poor excuse for a bully, because I can assure you Trump is not at all fazed. And so I want to hear from you guys, fellow patriots, and check out President Trump's latest moves, and tell me in the comments, doesn't it just fire you up knowing that we've got a warrior like him taking on the swamp, draining it? Drop Walz is a joke in the comments if you're done with that clown and his Trump-hating media buddies. And make sure you call Chapter 270-467-2426 today to lock in your Medicare plan. And let's keep the MAGA train and these wins rolling. Share this video, smash that like button, and let me show you and the world what real American grit looks like.
Mind up on Chicago, though?
Well, we're going in. I didn't say when. We're going in. When you lose, look, I have an obligation. This isn't a political thing. I have an obligation. When we lose, when 20 people are killed over the last 2.5 weeks and 75 are shot with bullets. So let me tell you a little story about a place called D.C., District of Columbia, right here where we are. It's now a safe zone. We have no crime. It's in such great shape. You can go and actually walk with your children, your wife, your husband. You can walk right down the middle of the street. You're not going to be shot, Peter. You're safe. Everyone likes you anyway. They probably wouldn't do it. But it's so dangerous. And there are people in this audience that you've suffered greatly. There are people in this audience that have been mugged and hurt badly, and they don't want to talk about it. Maybe you were very brave in talking about it. You made quite an impression on a lot of people. I appreciate it. But there were other people in this room that have been hurt very badly just walking down the street in D.C. Washington, D.C. is a safe zone right now. It's a safe city. The restaurants are open. They're booming. You can't get a restaurant. New restaurants are announcing that they're going to be open. This took place in 12 days. Now it's 15 days, but 3 days ago it became what's known as a safe zone. It's a safe city. And this city was really bad, really, really bad. We took 1,600 people out, hardcore criminals that will not be coming back anytime soon. And we're very proud of it. You know, to have our nation's capital lose every week, you know, it was like years, many years where every single week somebody was killed for many, many, many consecutive weeks. This went on for years. And then we had last week, it was announced that nobody was killed last week. And I made that announcement in front of a very distinguished leader of a country. And I'm saying proudly, ladies and gentlemen, nobody was killed in Washington, D.C. this week. He looked at me like, what's that all about? I say, yeah, we have a little bit of a crime problem. And we don't have a crime problem in Washington anymore. And the mayor has been very helpful. And the police commission has been very helpful. And it's been a great team. And I would love to have Governor Pritzker call me. I'd gain respect for him. and say, we do have a problem, and we'd love you to send in the troops, because you know what? The people, they have to be protected. I saw today on one of your networks, not a friendly network, except really the opposite, I would say, very unfriendly network, and they interviewed about 12 people on this morning. Most of them were African American, who were black, and they were saying, please, please, please let the president send in. These were people from Chicago. Please, we need help. We need help. We can't walk outside. We're petrified. If the governor of Illinois would call me up, I would love to do it. Now, we're going to do it anyway. We have the right to do it because I have an obligation to protect this country. And that includes Baltimore. I saw where Governor Moore was asking me to take a walk down the street of Baltimore. Well, Baltimore is a very unsafe place. It's rated number 4 in the city, one of the most unsafe places anywhere in the world. But, you know, we took care. This was a beautiful thing that happened in Washington because we showed that it could be done. And this wasn't just sending big, strong guys, and they are big and they are strong. You know, we had a great decision from the Supreme Court that had to do with sort of talent. It had to do with you are put down based on merit. You can hire based on merit. So merit for a soldier or for a policeman is strong, physically fit, having a certain ability, not a person that is woke and got the job through woke, but wasn't strong enough to lift a gun out of the holster, et cetera, et cetera. No, I looked at the police. As you know, last week I went over, we had a meeting there had to be 300 people, and they were all very impressive looking. And when the bad guys see them, they're not going to do a thing. And so I'm very proud of Washington. It serves as a template, and we're going to do it elsewhere. But Chicago is certainly going to be high. I would love to have him call. I would love the governor of Illinois. I'd be honored to take his call. All he has to do is say, sir, we need help. It's out of control. And everyone knows it is. He's not kidding anyone. I would love to have, I would say, Governor Moore call, because I watched him over the weekend trying to explain that Baltimore, what they need is housing. No, they don't need housing. They need to get rid of the criminals. These are hardcore criminals. You know, we took many people off the streets of Washington, D.C. They're hardcore. They're not going to be good. In 10 years, in 20 years, in 2 years, they're going to be criminals. They were born to be criminals, frankly. They were born to be criminals, and they're tough and mean, and they'll cut your throat, and they won't even think about it the next day. They won't even remember that they did it. And we're not going to have those people. Washington, D.C. is now a safe zone. It's a safe place. And you can walk, Katie, you can walk right down the street with, by the way, one of the biggest human beings I've ever seen, which is her husband. He was a football player for like 11 years in the NFL. He's a big person. But big doesn't mean anything when they have guns and when they have knives and everything else that they have, right? But you can walk right down the street, even by yourself, and you're totally safe. Washington, D.C. is a great thing. Yes, ma'am.
In California, ruled that your deployment of National Guard troops to Los Angeles was illegal. Do you have any response?
Well, it was a radical left judge. But very importantly, what did you not tell me in that question or statement that you made? Pretty much of a statement, I think.
Well, I was asking for your response.
No, you didn't say what the judge said, though. The judge said, but you can leave the 300 people that you already have in place. They can continue to be in place. That's all we need. But why didn't you put that as part of your statement? Because the same judge ruled exactly as you said, except the judge said that you could leave the 300 people that you already have in place. They can stay, they can remain, they can do what they have to do. Thank you very much, everybody.